Welcome back to the Wise Ones. A year ago, Vibhu Norby was a founder. He turned Drip into one of the most viral consumer product platforms in Solana's history, sold it to Jupiter, and shortly after, Vibhu Norby became the chief of product at the Solana Foundation. After 5 years on-chain, he calls Solana his digital home. In this interview, we discussed the unforgiving nature of crypto Twitter.
People had read into this tweet to mean, oh, you can't do anything on Solana without talking to Vibhu.
The 2 weeks in March that almost broke the team.
The vibes in Solana were really, really bad. There was like a series of people like from the foundation tweeting things, how like founders in Solana need to step up and do more.
And we get a look inside how the Solana Foundation thinks and their strategy pushing the Solana ecosystem to new heights.
Our job is to help Solana win, whatever that takes.
This and so much more with Vibhu. Let's get into it.
All right, so you said that the founders are the highest caste in the world, and you've been almost a year on the inside. What is the hardest thing for you personally, not being a founder anymore?
Honestly, it hasn't been that hard because Foundation has basically allowed me to treat the job like a founder. So I would say like the main thing I first struggled with was just more my identity, because I kind of saw myself as a self-starter, an entrepreneur. Like, you know, nobody nobody can contain me or tell me what to do. That was kind of like my self-image, you know, in a way that I've built over a long time in my life. But yeah, the Solana Foundation is a really unique workplace, and I've not really felt those constraints. I'd say like the most noticeable thing is just my control over my time is much different. And one of the best parts about being a founder is that you do have 100% control over your time. If you don't want to have a team meeting, if you don't want to do an all hands, you know, or fly out for an offsite, you don't book it, right? And you know, working for a large, you know, company or corporation, or in this case foundation, you know, I'm not 100% in control of my time, and that's the biggest change. Like people are surprised when I say this, but my life is much busier than it was as a founder. I had a lot more time and space to think, and also to put, again, to like, you know, design my life the way I wanted. And here, definitely a lot less. So there's a lot more demands from around the organization and people who need time with me, and so yeah, it's a very different type of life, but mostly it's been you know, similar.
Before we get into anything Solana here, I just kind of want the audience to understand. Could you walk us through the moments where you decided to sell Drip? Was there like a trigger, or was there a moment that you wanted to pivot? Like, what was kind of the whole thing behind Drip? And if you could even explain to the audience what Drip even was.
Yeah, sure. So Drip was a collectibles platform, digital collectibles platform for creators. Creators would send out content to their audience, to their fans, and their fans would give back to them in different ways. And we memorialized that content inside of Solana NFTs. Became really popular, especially after in the depths of the last bear markets, post FTX. People were looking for things to do on chain on Solana, and Drip was a really low cost and fun product. It was kind of somewhere between like a game and like a Patreon type of thing. Once the, you know, the meme coin mania kind of started, we saw a noticeable effect on the business. People you know, started to move off of apps like ours and wanted to trade, and we started, you know, aggressively looking for, you know, how to take the product into different directions to continue to grow. We had raised a Series A, and so yeah, in December 2024, my co-founders and I had some long conversations and basically laid out like a couple possibilities for what we wanted to do next with Drip. We had plenty of money in the bank, but we could kind of see the writing on the wall for where it would go as a standalone company. And we explored all of those options at the same time. Like those came down to a huge revision of Drip that would take us basically off chain. So kind of like changing the model to be more of a like more directly a competitor with Patreon rather than a like a crypto adjacent version. Another was to sell the company or find a home for the product. And another was to explore like totally new ideas. We had a couple of like creator payments ideas that we were thinking about. So we kind of scoped all of those out at the same time. And when we approached a couple of companies about taking on Drip, we were pretty surprised at how excited folks were. And it seemed like really obvious right away that we should probably pursue that direction immediately because we're going to get a good outcome for investors and find a good home for what we were doing.
Now, can you just tell the audience, like, what was the big attraction to Solana to you? Like, was there something that gravitated you towards Solana? Was it the founder? Was it the energy? Was it the spirit? Was Solana hot right now, or did they offer you the most money? Like, whatever it was, like, what was the reason why Solana had this like connectivity towards you?
I mean I've been working in Solana for 5 years, so I kind of consider Solana my like digital home. Like um for me it had become more or less the same way you feel patriotic about where you live. Like if you're maybe some people, I certainly am, like as an American. It's kind of how I feel in my digital home, which is Solana. And I built an audience there, community, friends. At the foundation specifically, like I got a call from Akshay, and we were kind of catching up, and and I don't know, they had a role that seemed like it might be interesting for me. And I made a decision at that point. I probably wasn't going to remain at Jupiter after the acquisition for various reasons. And once Akshay found out I was interested, he kind of went pretty hard to convince me to come on board. I that was honestly, like I probably by default I would have just gone and started another company. That's like most of my feeling at that time. But I didn't have any good ideas, and Foundation seemed like an interesting place to extend my work with the community and try to have an impact. And I don't know. That's kind of how I ended up there.
Can you talk to me a little about maybe like the worst week you guys have had, and how you were able to handle that, and what things were really highlighted to you about the Solana Foundation team that you've come to appreciate?
The worst week as a team, I mean,
Yeah, like just something that for you was just like, I mean, I'm sure you've experienced some pretty bad weeks in business. I mean, we're business owners ourselves, bro. So we've seen a lot of stuff. But yeah, just something that maybe challenged you or really took you through like some real deep thinking that had to maybe bring the team together.
two times come to mind, both entirely of my own fault. But the first one was uh the Jesse and base to Solana bridge situation. This was like, I don't know, early December. I was literally on my way to Breakpoint on a plane and on Emirates, and um really a couple hours from the flight, I had internet connection, and we found out kind of in real time that Base was building this, what they were marketing as like a two-way bridge to Solana. But we hadn't heard about it in advance, and so it was like kind of a non-functioning bridge in a way. Like it was a one-way parasitic type of thing, in my opinion. And I took issue with the way that it was marketed, and also with the way they were presenting this as if they had approached us about it in advance to get our help, and we said no, which wasn't the case. And I fired off a reply to Jesse that implied that they should have come to talk to us before they started marketing it. And I lost my internet connection on the plane, and I was like, okay, that was a good time to sleep anyway. I get some sleep. I wake up, I don't know, 5-6 hours later, and there's like hundreds of quote tweets on my reply, and and people had read into this tweet to mean, oh, you can't do anything on Solana without talking to Vibhu. that was like the interpretation that they had taken. And wow, Solana's so permissionless. You have to go talk to a mid-tier manager to make this. Like, it was just like this kind of, it was all over the place. And yeah, that was terrible. That lasted a couple days. And yeah, I was so it's happened a few times where like something just gets taken in a certain way out of context. And I don't know how much I learned from that, because I've definitely continuously done that. But yeah, that's the first one that came to mind. Yeah, and then in March of this year, there was like a particularly difficult couple weeks where the vibes in Solana were really, really bad. Probably March timeframe. This was, there was like a series of people like from the foundation tweeting things. Like, I think Chase had tweeted something about how like founders in Solana need to step up and do more for the ecosystem. And Ramsey posted something, and then Lily followed that up with this blockchain gaming controversy. So like we were kind of like everyone was kind of posting things that were being interpreted very poorly, and I think we were all feeling pretty bad. And I ended up posting our internal Slack just like a message about like how we should celebrate and lift up our builders, retweet them, do product reviews, like I think drop fire emojis. Like, I think we needed to move away from a little bit of the tough love, which is the mode that a lot of us operate in, and just be a little bit more like clear about how much we do love our the folks building around the ecosystem. And yeah, I do think the vibes got better after that, generally speaking.
We've interviewed this creator called Pop Punk on Chain, and he ran a play called Pumpcade. And he told us something that was so interesting. He said that when he was on Ethereum, it was so hard to connect to the foundation. It was like almost damn near impossible. It was like the mafia. And then he said Solana's a whole different ball game. Like, everyone has a chance here. And I full heartedly agree with that. So talk to me about that. Like, how does that happen? How does Solana stay so open?
Yeah, I mean, we're very high volume here. Like, yeah, definitely relative to some other foundations. Like, we will, talk to almost anybody that has something interesting. And we do have a very big ecosystem. I'd say like most of the conversations end up in a Telegram chat of some sort or group. And we just try to follow along. Like, people ask us when they need something, and they don't blow us up if they don't, and we kind of make it work. Yeah, we have like the foundation is basically like majority of the people that work here are folks that are interfacing with our ecosystem teams in various categories. So like for like most given products, like there's someone here that cares about that category deeply and can be like, can kind of assess that opportunity for us. I want to also say that, especially from an intention perspective, we are like, we think about it the reverse of the way that I think most people imagine it is. We like, the reason that we give attention or resources, or the reason we might retweet something, for example, or post about something, is not as a service to the founder or to that company or entity. It is out of our desire to show the world what's happening on Solana, and to position Solana as a network and Sol as a token underneath for success, right? And that's why, like, in certain categories like AI or things that are strategic to us narratively, trading, you're much more likely to get our resources in different ways. And it works both ways. It's a priority category, so it's good that we can deliver that to those companies. But the reason we're doing it ultimately is to demonstrate what's happening. It's about us telling the story of Solana itself, and more so than anything else. So when people like come to us with things that are kind of off theme, okay, let's talk about gaming as an example. This is like everyone's favorite thing to talk about. When Lily had posted like blockchain gaming. Instead, it isn't a priority area for us. You might be doing something very interesting in that category, but from a strategic perspective, like how much does it tell about this, what's happening on Solana? How does it narratively advance our story, to our holders and to our stakeholders in general, around the network? It can be just more difficult to get our time. That doesn't mean that what someone's doing isn't valuable. It's just we're filtering for what's useful to us, and what's useful to us is usually what's good for the network, because the foundation is the single largest holder of Sol, and like the biggest constituent of the network in a way. So
And then Pump Fund, right? Pump Fund, you can see that they're pivoting right now in terms of where they're going. It seems like they're going more AI, more development of developers and things like that. So there's always this section of Solana in the story where you kind of said earlier in the interview where there was like the meme craze. And people look at the meme craze in a lot of different ways. I'm curious of like, where do you stand today when the meme craze happened? Because it might happen again. We don't know. But I'm curious where you stand, how big that was for Solana and how important that was, or is there some undertone reason that that it happened in the first place that you believe? But what do you feel like was the biggest benefit of something like that? Because there's a lot of downplay on Pump Fund, and I really think it was a really big part of the chain personally. So that's why I wanted to get your opinion.
yeah, I mean, Pump Fund kind of emerged at the right time in a similar fashion to NFTs. I think these things kind of come together, and that is that the token the core network token was starting to improve a lot. I think Sol had been like in the dumps for a long time, for about a year, and then it started to see some life. And just around that time, and Pump Fund emerged. And this was like just after Whiff and a few of these like non like the like non-launchpad coins that went really viral. The reason this happens is that when the token price goes up and people and holders are getting rich again, they see the money as like funny money, and they're like willing to spend it on riskier things, and kind of try to extend those gains. And we saw that twice, NFTs and meme coins. So yeah, I think the timing was really good and the product was really good. And certainly, like, I don't know, they just had like multiple things happen that compounded and made them into this massive player. They had the celebrity coin season, and and then like various forms of ICM, and the governments were starting to launch coins. I don't know. There was a lot of like random catalysts that continued to keep them around. It was, I mean, to me, it was unequivocally good for Solana, because the infrastructure demands meme coin traders are tremendous. And most other chains don't get to see what it's like to actually cater to thousands or tens of thousands of people who want to trade the same assets at the same time. And Solana, between 24 and today, went through like a lot of network changes that made it more resilient, and made it possible to handle something like the Trump launch, which was like maybe the biggest thing in crypto history from a activity perspective. Like the number of people that were coming on board to trade that was like, I don't know if other blockchains would have stood up to that test, and yet Solana was able to, because it had already kind of experienced multiple waves around meme coins prior. So I think from an infrastructure perspective, it was a big gift. And then from a user perspective, it brought tons and tons of people. I mean, like millions of people learn about Solana, learn about self-custody wallets, learn how to trade, learn what a swap is and what a DEX is. That education you really can't pay for as a blockchain. Like that's what it's all about. Was it like the thing you design in a lab to teach people about blockchain? Probably not. Like it's, in a lab you might design something a lot different, but you don't really get to choose as a network, like what use cases as a general purpose network, at least, like what use cases people gravitate towards and what things grow the chain. So I don't know. I'm not like definitely not like a pump fund hater. I think they meaningfully contributed to the network in so many ways. I mean, they also directly contribute like a huge amount of revenue. Like there's like $1 billion of SOL tied up in bonding curves and in Meteor A&Ms. Like there's like real hard things that it did for the asset and for the network that you can't really take away. And yeah, like obviously, like this is not an endorsement of trading Incoin. I think if you're trading them, it's most likely you're going to lose money. I mean, it's like it is very much like a sophisticated. It's a really sophisticated game now. To be fair, but yeah, no, it definitely had a huge impact on Solana. There's no doubt about it.
Vibhu, so in our most recent documentary, Built to Outlast, we were making the case that this most recent institutional wave was bringing a lot of money to Solana. It's a two-part question mainly, but I wanted to ask you particularly about the way that this institutional wave has kind of taken over the way that people are investing, that founders are looking for VC capital. And then the second part of this question is more so surrounding how Solana Foundation has supported super teams in their efforts to really expand developer growth throughout the ecosystem. I've had the pleasure to sit down with a few really cool people down here in Miami, one of them being Amy from Solana Super Team USA. I had the pleasure to meet Nikki as well. And, I can't help but notice the effort and grind being put in by the super team founders all over the world. What do you have to say about this particular organization and how institutional and VC capital is stepping in and really supporting what's going on here on Solana? Yeah, so like actually it's funny you mentioned tokens.solana.com or excuse me, tokens.xyz, and you actually got some pushback from some ecosystem founders, but you publicly defended it. With a couple months of hindsight, what would you maybe have done differently in the rollout?
Yeah, we did fix our rollout strategy a bit from that, from the learnings from that. I think, basically, like I think that like the way we, I don't know, like we try to, if there are potential like people that are feel like this might be competitive to them, I think we're trying our best to get in front of them early and get their feedback and kind of like make sure that the product direction doesn't feel too much like a collision, or get them involved in some fashion as a partner. That's the change we made for STP and the pay.sh launch. Honestly, it is what it is. Like we like, I'm really happy with the product itself and what's happened with it. And I think those, like, for the most part, I really haven't seen anyone complain about it for a long time. So maybe it wasn't that big of a deal in the first place. I don't know.
Can you kind of give me some more context on this whole No Kings movement?
No Kings movement. Yeah, I don't know. I don't see our job as neutrality or not king making specifically. I think that is how people perceive the foundation, for historical purposes. But our job is to help Solana win, whatever that takes. And I posted this in a comment yesterday, but neutrality is a strategy. Like there are, if you're the United States of America and you're trying to win on AI, one strategy is to say, we're going to fund every single AI lab that comes, or give them tax breaks or whatever, right? Whatever the tools there are that they have. Another strategy is say, hey, we're going to find the very best couple and figure out how to enable them globally to do business. And because it's critical that we win, and we can't, like, we have to move fast, and moving fast, it's easier to move fast and it's easier to, have a smaller list of things to worry about and move fast than to, wait for a competitive scene to emerge. That's kind of like largely what's happened with OpenAI and Anthropic. Like the US has like basically, in so many ways, like helped bring those two companies to the global stage. Foundation is in a similar spot with certain things. Like on the consumer side, neutrality makes a ton of sense because we don't know what things are going to win, and we don't know what things are going to have product market fit. And you can't king make something like Pump Fund. Like those things just kind of emerge from, like a hodgepodge of people that are hacking and trying different things. But in a category where there's like a true product market fit, like perps, like it's not like the product experience is completely known, like what has to be done and what things and what kind of features and whatnot need to be built. And the question is simply whether or not uh, there will be anything in Solana that is capable of like taking market share. And I'm not suggesting that we I don't know if what we are trying to do is correct.
Vibhu, let me ask you something. We're headed into a world of inflation, abundance, scarcity is becoming really important. Zcash is having a moment because obviously it's store value thesis and Bitcoin is obviously the original, but you guys have a store value on Solana too. Do you think something like that becomes competitive in a space of scarcity as it starts to rise?
You're talking about ore, I guess.
Yes. Yes. I'm talking about
Yeah,
it now. Just go ahead.
yeah. I know you guys are ore maxis. Yeah, ore pretty cool. We love ore. I mean, I personally think that like if we're serious about Sol being like $1,000, like Sol itself also has to take on store value properties. The same way the ETH kind of is hovering in that range. It can't just be a utility token. The ore team is awesome. I mean, they've like classic cockroach founders who pivot. I don't know if you've been around long enough to know about the original model, but they kind of like similar to Pump Fund, they constantly have found like new ways to kind of drive value and or like find moments where people care a lot about it, and they have a crack community for sure. I'm not sure I feel as strongly as like people like Maddie Tay do, or folks at the Coliseum. I it's really interesting. But I think if I were to speculate too much on this, it wouldn't be right. Hyperliquid's been around for 2 years, in a serious way. And in that time period, like nothing in our ecosystem has really, kind of shown up to natively, build a valid product there.
The question I'm trying to ask, with the energy of everything that we just talked about for the last 10 minutes, Solana obviously being possibly at the forefront for the first time, just being realistic. What is the energy of not being the underdog in this moment and literally feeling like you got the straight path to get there in Solana Foundation right now?
I don't feel that. I don't think we feel that way at all. I think we feel like we were number 2 or number 3 in every category.
Okay.
Like and like that's within crypto. And if you compare us to TradFi, we're like, much further down the lists. So no, I mean, like from a crypto community standpoint, I think we are, like we're not. I said this the other day, like we're not a contrarian bet the way we were 5 years ago, because we have a network of size. A lot of people use it. A lot of people know about us, and we're pretty much always in the room, with a shot to to win something. That is true. But like pretty much in every case you go down the list, we aren't number one. Like we're behind. And what's unique about Solana is that we are number 2 or number 3 in like a lot of different things. Like we're kind of covering the entire economy of financial products and services, like with something that's pretty good. But we haven't won. Like we haven't. There are people that are specializing in, like, basically Ethereum is a stablecoin chain now. Like we are so far behind them on stablecoins. But we are number 2. We're number 2. We aren't number 1 in trading. That's Hyperliquid. But we want to be number 2, number 3 by the end of the year. I think, and then eventually, obviously, we want to get to number 1 across all these different things.
So AI is pulling talent out of crypto. What does Solana have to do to win the race?
The biggest challenge for us with AI is distinguishing the talent pool for crypto. And we're still quite early. Like there's still a lot of things that need to be built and a lot of products that need to be built and a lot of adoption that needs to come. But every day I meet people who are like thinking about switching to AI as an industry because there's so much opportunity there right now, and we're just like this tiny speck inside of that universe. I think that like at the same time, like crypto is threatening a much deeper set of things than AI is threatening. I like to think of AI as labor efficiency, in crypto as capital efficiency, and the reality of capital is that it really is, whether you like it or not, it is what drives everything in our known universe. It is the underlying power structure of the planets. It is like everything rotates around money, and therefore, like if you can figure out how to disrupt that, you are disrupting things much deeper than things that exist on servers and inside of large language models. What those things are, I don't know, but like the chance that crypto rewires how our governments work is much higher than AI rewiring how our governments work, as an example.
Mm.
Um, but we're still like at like a sliver of the adoption that we need for these things to become true. You kind of see it in like some like more some more avant-garde countries and stuff. Like you see more experimentation there, like El Salvador and whatnot. But you have yet to really see that touch the power switch in other places. I think like I also struggle to answer this question because I think AI is also in a like probably like a pretty sizable bubble in some fashion. Like we are, we are, like you said, like yes, the government's making a huge investment here. Like they're printing money to pay for all this. We're all paying for OpenAI and Anthropic to acquire GPUs and so on. Like that's where our money is going. And these things, like it's clearly like changing many things, but how much value will it create versus destroy? I don't know yet. I don't know the answer to that question. It's really not that obvious. I am an optimist, so I do think that like yes, like AI is definitely replacing jobs. Like there's no question. Like that you can't really argue against that anymore. Like it is just like it is. You can do more with it, but not everyone will figure out how to make that transition. That's just the reality. But I am an optimist in the sense that like I do think people will figure out what comes next, and there will be jobs aplenty. I just don't know what shape those will take.
I know you made a strong point. I want to get into this real quick. You said that you literally just compared crypto and AI, and you said you think the crypto side is probably going to have a more global change to the world, right?
Yes.
So let me ask you this then. This race then, this layer one race to control that payment layer, I mean, that you're talking, if that's the case, that's trillions of dollars in terms of whoever the winner is, whoever takes over that space and becomes dominant in that space.
Well, that's why I love working in crypto. I will love working at Solana because there's how many chains are like truly relevant and capable and have demonstrable uh you know like could you credibly say like this could be the place where the entire
100%.
financial system lives, and Solana is like in like one of like I don't know 3 or 4 uh networks that you can really say that about, and maybe even like top 1 or top 2. And the opportunity is so big. How can we not be excited to figure out how to get there? Like it's ours to lose in a way, and that's how I feel about it. um
That's
and
deep.
yeah, like even the stable coins, like we have like stable coins is the only chart. It's the only chart that's up only for 5 years. We have $330 billion stable coins. But like, do you realize how like how many dollars are actually exist in the world that are not on chain? It is, I mean, these things are all just tiny fractions of a percentage of like what's out there in the traditional side, and getting to that point is it is not an easy or linear. There's no linear path. It's kind of like but like we have to continue to be this black hole where if there is someone that's finally thinking about making the switch, whether it's a bank or a neobank or even an individual person, that we somehow manage to show up there at the right time with the right product, and the right thing. And you do enough of that, you do that thousands and thousands of times, and eventually this thing can grow. And we're competing in every single one of those against all these other chains too. But yeah, like I legitimately think Solana should be one of the most valuable things on the planet. And if we can't make that happen, we have absolutely failed. That's how big our opportunity is.
So I hear what you're saying, and I see Solana right now. I mean, they're definitely, like you said, they're trying to grab market share of everything, right? And right now, a big focus as of late has been the perpetual side. Bringing that onto Solana, making sure that those devs who are putting those teams together, those products together, do so and attract a lot of volume on Solana. But there's an industry that I feel like nobody talks about, and I've been trading this industry for years. It's the foreign exchange industry, the exchange of currencies, and so in a normal broker, all these offshore brokers, you actually fund with crypto only to trade stable fiat liquidity. And like crypto's been intertwined in that industry for years, but I have yet to see the foreign exchange industry implemented into the crypto space, right, on the actual blockchain. I'm curious if that conversation has been going around, if there's any experts maybe you guys have been connecting with in that field, because if you think about it, right now that's actually one of the biggest industries in the world, the forex industry. It's about $9.6 trillion daily. So
Yeah.
I'm curious what you have to say about that.
Yeah. I've spent a decent amount of time like thinking about forex. I even built like a tool, SPL.forex, that is a like a Solana stablecoin forex exchange. And in the process of building that, kind of exposed like the things that need to happen in order for this to be a real thing that people do. So one is that we've been able to definitively prove that with enough liquidity, Solana's like decentralized trading model produces better pricing outcomes on any assets over even centralized exchanges, even TradFi. Like the way that the competitiveness of prop AMMs on the Sol USDC pair, for example, is really remarkable, given that it's like a loosely connected set of different components from the front end to the on-chain part, trying to give users like the best like to compete for their money, and versus like centralized order book or whatever. So that's already a remarkable achievement. How do you do that so the technology exists, and then the question is, how do you do that for forex pairs, right? And if you said this $9 trillion of forex daily volume, I think it's maybe, I don't know, what I've looked at, it's like 7 to 8 trillion, depends on the day, but like 80% of that volume has USD, or 90% of that volume has USD as one of the pairs. And then like I think 70% of that is like USD euro. Like there's a few markets that kind of like really dominate on forex, and right now there's so little liquidity in foreign stablecoins that you really couldn't build a competitive price there. And so like it wouldn't be advantageous to a real forex trader to do this on the chain, not just on Solana, but on any chain. Like this is kind of a problem across the gamut. So I think that's like, we know, because the tech exists, the only question is how we bring liquidity over in size from the right people, and then throw the prop AMMs at it, throw the DeFi infrastructure on Solana at that, and to make it like legitimately a good place to trade those pairs. And that's a tough one because there's only so much like if we're like it has to be worth someone's time to lock that kind of capital up in stable coins. And right now in crypto, like everything rotates around USD. There's just like virtually no demand for anything else. Even in other countries, like we launched the Korean won stablecoin this week, and there's some like reasonable liquidity there, but like it's not enough to it's enough to do like some small payments and things like that, but it isn't enough to generate like a real like tight spreads on like a foreign exchange swap. So yeah, I guess yeah, the point is technology exists, that's good. Liquidity doesn't yet, and that will be solved by time. I think eventually like people will find use cases for these, and then you should be able to stand up a market. But I think the bigger threat to forex with stablecoins presents is that you don't need forex when you have a strong US dollar and everyone is using the same currency. I think like if you fast forward 10 years or 15 years and you just look at the current progress that stablecoins are making, what you're going to see instead is that we're just taking all the real dollars off the table in every country, and you're just replacing with digital dollars, and everyone's going to want basically like the same denominator on every trade and every transaction, and it's probably just going to be USD in like 95% of the time, and so like like the forex traders are just gonna I just think that category is gonna get progressively smaller.
The moment that we know that Solana has actually won, we're not talking about market cap. What do you think that moment would look like?
I mean, for me, it's I want I mean, like what I'd like to see is I want Sol to be number one. I think that's like I want to be the number one token in the world. I think that's like that's the justice that needs to be fixed, because we're outcompeting Ethereum on so many different vectors. From like the product's better, and I just believe in good products. And Bitcoin is really useful and has amazing properties, but I don't think it's as useful as Solana is. I'm just being frank, and that's going to upset people. But you can just do more with Solana. And so, if you believe in good products, then you believe Solana should be at the top of the list. That's where we need to go. That's when I can take a vacation.
Thank you so much for your time, man. We greatly appreciate you, man. We truly do. And thank you for representing Solana. This is like our first interview with someone deep ties with Solana. So we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you.
Thanks for having me here.
All right, and that concludes another Wise Ones podcast. Thank you so much, Vibhu, for sitting down with us, and thank you guys for listening. I honestly am very happy to see that Solana has such great leadership here, and that you got people excited about the future of Solana, man. I think he made some pretty bold statements, ones that we could definitely agree with. What do you think, Doc? What do you think about the sit down with Vibhu?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I think anyone who listened to this learned what it felt like to be on the inside of Solana just a bit. A couple big points that were huge takeaways for me is that when he talked about like where they rank in terms of different categories with Solana compared to Hyperliquid and all the other exchanges, and you just kind of sit there like I never thought about it that way. And obviously they're in these marketing rooms talking about this all day long. So it was like really cool to see the clear vision. But the big piece, Coop, though, that really took me home is that when he mentioned that Solana can have a larger market cap than in Bitcoin, I just never thought about it that way. But when you sit here, you look at Solana, you said, wow, it does have the makings to be really, really big. And the fact that his whole heart was behind that statement, I loved it, man. That's a really good look for Solana for sure.
Yeah, I'm right there with you, bro. I think it was a great sit down. I'm very happy that we had it. And I'm glad that you guys got the chance to listen to it. Guys, if you don't want to miss a single Wise One podcast, make sure you turn on post notifications. You follow us on all socials, and you stay up to date with what the Wisemen have for you. We got more episodes coming for you throughout the rest of the season. We appreciate you, and we'll see you on the next one.